Good evening and welcome to the October 15th regular meeting of the school board. Everyone is here tonight except for Mr. Clausen. You will note that. During closed session, first I need consensus on the order of business. Are we good? Good. Okay, thank you. This meeting translation services are available for this meeting this evening. If you are present in the room and need translation, please go to the back where Jacob is holding up a headset that can be used. If you are online and need translation assistance, please click on the circle at the bottom of your screen and that's how you get into translation, and we will now have that translated.
Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a esta junta. No sé si escucharon mi mensaje anterior, pero esta junta va a estar siendo interpretada al español. Al final cuando yo termine de hablar, presionen el globo terráqueo que aparecerá en el menú en la parte inferior de la pantalla, y los que están presencialmente pueden tomar micrófonos en la parte trasera del salón en el que se encuentran.
Thank you. The board met in closed session immediately prior to open session and discussed a personnel item. So moving right along, we have our student representatives of the board who are always very happy to see, and we are having San Luis Obispo High School go first this evening. Welcome. Thank you.
There you go. Is this on? Okay, yeah, sorry. The light didn't come on. Hi, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. Do we have the slideshow up? Or yeah, okay, great. Yeah, thanks for having me again. Always fun to be here. And I have Slow High's message. So the first and biggest thing that we had recently was homecoming. Ooh, sorry. Right, okay. Basically, homecoming happened. We had a very successful homecoming. We sold for our dance 771 tickets.
Mandy,
okay.
Can we rotate the slides from your side? The clicker's not working quite right.
It's turned off. Oh, sorry.
Okay, now
Operator
try it.
error. I'm not a
Try.
veteran at this.
That's okay.
All right. So homecoming
go.
happened. We had a very great homecoming. 771 tickets sold for our dance. We made a very good profit there. We had great turnout, especially compared to last year. Big thanks to our promotional team to make that happen. Also, up on the slide was our homecoming royalty. We had a very successful halftime show as well. We recognized a lot of people who are classes each voted as good representatives of Seoul High School and ambassadors to our community, which was great. Also, the football game went pretty good as well. Our team won 45-0 against Pioneer Valley, which was great. And we had as I said, amazing dance. So homecoming week, fantastic. Additionally, we have an FFA update. FFA hosted the annual opening and closing ceremony speaking competition at Seoul High School in the theater and such. We had 70 students from Seoul High and 300 students from all over the county for the San Luis Obispo FFA section. A lot of our own students from Seoul High were recognized as well. We won first place for the advanced teams, and additionally to FFA, we had our the first of the year drive-through barbecue, which was a great success, and we actually sold out all that stuff, which was fantastic as well. And additionally, we couldn't do all of this without support from family, friends, teachers, and parents that make FFA the thing it is. So thanks again for all that. Additionally, we have athletics. Last Friday, football also won against Rigetti, 17-7. Very, very big win for our football team. We improved to 6-1. And also, we are today, recognizing our girls tennis seniors for senior night. We also have boys water polo had a tournament over the past few days. So they won 3 out of their 4 games. Tournament very successful as well. And we also just launched a brand new Tiger Teams app where if you're a fan of SLO High School sports, you can download the app, have much faster access and just easy user interface for going to sports games and being up to date on everything. Additionally, the cross-country team, which is very successful, traveled to Clovis for the big invite. This is a huge, huge event. Like people from all over the country come to this. It's very prestigious. Our girls team finished 6th out of 23, and our boys team finished 10th out of 29. Extremely, extremely respectable. And also, our girls volleyball team remains undefeated in league, and we just very recently reached our 50th straight consecutive league win, season over season. So huge, huge, huge accomplishments all around. All right. Additionally, coming up soon, we have our fall play. It's going to be Our Town. Our first show is going to be this week. We're running 6 shows in total. We're going to have 2 on one day. So definitely come to this if you're interested. I personally know I have a lot of friends who are going to be in this performance. So go support theater. It's a great, great, great program. And I presume it's going to be an absolutely fantastic show as well. And it takes place, the show itself, in a New Hampshire small town. And there's, again, so many talented people. All right. Upcoming events to keep out on the lookout for at SLO High. Again, our girls tennis senior night. Tomorrow, we're having our Youth Truth Survey, which is extremely valuable. It's going to be during 3rd period. We're going to get all that great feedback. Also, on Friday, we have Cancer Awareness football game. We're going to have a pink out, and we're going to have a cheer and band senior night. So huge event for football as well. And then, again, the first show of Our Town, and then we have winter sports tryouts coming right soon after that. Thank you very much. That is the conclusion of my slideshow. Yeah.
So we'll move on to Morro Bay. Thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone. Again, thank you for having us out here, as always, so we can share with you some amazing things about our school. So our update is a bit brief tonight because we're coming hot off the trail of homecoming week. So things are downshifting a bit at the school, but we have lots to share about that event and what have happened in the past week or so. So a few general school items to share about. This week, all students are completing the Youth Truth Survey. Our staff and families are doing all well on that. So we love to see the results and learn what's happening in our community and our school. Our seniors are working on their college applications. This week, college cafe opportunities have begun for all seniors to get support. The college cafe opportunities continue in the weeks to come, so they can go there, get assistance with applications or any FAFSA sort of things they need help with. And on October 7th, we had a UC Santa Cruz rep for our students. So the rep came and talked all about the school and showed them all the amazing things they can do if they apply there. Next week on Thursday, many of our students are gearing up to take the SATs. I know I myself am. Tomorrow I get to do the digital readiness check, so I get to learn, hey, am I ready for this SAT? And as some of you may have seen on KSBY last week, MBHS actually won the voting competition for registration of student voters. So we'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for putting on that competition for us. And moving on to sports and clubs. Our surf team has a competition this Sunday at The Rock. We won our first contest versus Arroyo Grande 2 weeks ago, and we hope for another great day on the waves this Sunday. One of our sophomores on our cross-country team, Abe Gady, won first for the Morro Bay team in their most recent meet. And now move on to Zahira with the rest.
Hello, guys. So our volleyball team right now is undefeated in league with a 5-0 record. We had our girls' night, senior night for girls tennis last week, and the team is doing very well. It was a wonderful night. Another small highlight for our clubs is our auto program taking a field trip to Buttonwillow Raceway last week. Our students were welcomed by the staff and by the Porsche Owners Club, and so it was a great experience for our students, and it was we were very grateful for that. In news of ASB, last week was quite busy. We had our royalty dinner, our Powder Puff games, our rallies, and our HOCO halftime show, which Nate and I actually ran, and it was quite a wonderful experience. For our royalty, we had amazing pairs. We make them compete in not only a skit rally, but also lip syncing competition. And that was very fun to watch and see all the students compete in that. 56% of students attended homecoming, and that was amazing for us. We were so happy to see all of our students there. It was honestly perceived as one of the best homecomings we've had. We've heard raving reviews in this past week about everything that's been going on. As well, in ASB news and also campus news, I would tell you guys to check out the Spyglass News website. Many of our students have been writing articles, Nate included, and we have wonderful articles on there talking about our school and our school culture, and I think it's a wonderful thing that we offer. So thank you guys for offering this.
So my only question this evening is, when do you sleep?
Rarely, and when our events are over.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which seems like a lot of events. So thank you so much for coming this evening. And on that sleep note, we understand you have things to do and lives to live and events to run and attend. So thank you. You are, of course, as always, welcome to stay, or if you need to get on with your evening, we understand. Thank you again. Right, this evening we are excited to have Del Mar with us.
And we are going to give you an exact. We're going to talk. Okay? Right. 6. And Liz, you guys remember more? Our former CTE TOSA. Liz came to our staff and helped us develop a look. So I think we're keeping it for a long. Important part. So good.
Hey, 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 1, 2, there we go.
Yeah. All right. Is that better? Okay. Now for the academic update. It's a quick snippet. Last year, you might have remembered Del Mar came with their 2 kindergarten teachers to talk to you about the research that they had been doing with the 6 shifts. And the shifts that they were specifically focused on were the phonemic awareness and the decodables. Do you guys, I know you've heard those terms a lot, but they came to you to present, and they also shared the impact that those 2 shifts have made on their kindergarten data. Well, we're bringing a thread through, and this year as a whole staff, we focused on the first shift in the new book. I know you've all heard about the Shifting the Balance book, but to read the research around reconsidering as a learning community how knowledge impacts comprehension. And we really wanted to highlight in our new curriculum and make sure we focused on developing that because we could see that research says that's really important. So the great quote is, even in an age when information is at our fingertips, knowledge building is essential to comprehension. So what I'm going to invite you to do with us for just 1 minute and 26 seconds is we're going to we're going to peek into some classrooms. And I want you to look at, to know that we're looking at life science K through 6. In kindergarten, the life science topic is plants and animals have needs. And we're going to be looking into the ELD class with our EL specialist. In first grade, the life science topic is plants and animals grow and change. And we're going to be peeking into a first grade class with a first grader reading the decodable, one of them, there's many that come with the curriculum, but one of his decodables, and you will see a connection. And the last classroom we will be peeking in at is third grade, and their life science topic is animal adaptations. And students were sitting in groups of 4 sharing their presentations that they had created. And what I want you to notice is all of these not only are deepening kids' understanding of life science for now, but over their time as an articulated experience, K through 6, K through 5 here, K through 6 in town. My other hat came on for a second, sorry. They will have an articulated knowledge building across their elementary experience. Does that make sense? Okay, so we're going to peek into some classrooms for just a second.
Tell them our word. Is it energy? Are you ready? We're going to show you energy. Here we go. Show us energy. Energy. We need energy to survive.
Living things need water. Let's us plant in a big pot. It is a lot of fun. Get a big pot. Put soil in it. Dig 6 little holes. Drop 6 seeds in. A plant has to get sun. Sun helps it to get big. Its second adaptation is camouflage, so it can hide, so it can sneak up on its prey, and it doesn't have any predators because it's an apex predator. And apex predators don't have predators at all.
Quick snippet in classrooms, building that knowledge. So we are now going to turn over to our social emotional focus, and that brings, whoops, can you help me get past this slide? For some reason, the clicker, oh, there we go. Rowan and Kira are going to share with you about the sunshine spreaders.
Hi, my name is Kira Johnson. I started the Sunshine Spreaders in 3rd grade. I wanted to make a difference, to make our campus a better place, and to create something that stayed behind after I left Del Mar. I gathered up some friends who wanted to join, and we tried to figure out what we could do to help. We asked Miss Becky if we could clean the lunch tables. We did the job for a few weeks, but the commitment was too much to handle. In 4th grade, we decided to try again. We started by cleaning the lunch tables like last year. Ms. Stevens, who works alongside our counselor, offered to help us. We organized meetings and figured out what other jobs we could do. Hi, I'm Rowan Garcia. I joined the Sunshine Spreaders in 4th grade. I wanted to make more friends, to open up and be more involved in the school. Just watching the Sunshine Spreaders, I could tell they were the club for me. There were other clubs, some based on books or music artists, but I could tell that this club had purpose. That's when I decided I wanted to join. Some of the things we do in Sunshine Spreaders include passing out food in the cafeteria on Fridays, using the grabbers to help pick up trash. On Wednesdays, we read to the TK students. and we always try to show up to events that will benefit our school. And a main mission that we are working on right now is painting peace pickets for people to put in their gardens. We sell them for $10 each at Smoobage, which is a shop in Morro Bay. We did this to raise money to buy a peace pool and to put in downtown Morro Bay. Peace pools have good messages to help remind people to choose kindness.
And last we checked, I checked with Ms. Stevens today, and 18 people signed up to be in the Sunshine Spreaders Club this year. Good. Thank you.
Mrs. Roger.
Thank you. Ladies, I'm sorry, my hearing's a little off and I couldn't hear exactly where those are available.
They're at Smoobage. It's a shop in downtown Morro Bay, or well, no, the Embarcadero.
Yeah, in Morro Bay, Smoobage, and we also have them, Smoobage, that's the name of the store.
Okay,
And I believe there are some in our office, right?
I'm not sure, but I know we did at some point. I think
Okay.
they're still.
I saw them
Okay.
today.
Okay. So
Yeah.
they are.
so they're available at school as well. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
We
you.
really appreciate, I love the Sunshine Spreaders. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, and thanks, Ms. Smiley, for taking the time and showing off your students and events.
Thank you.
There.
So next on our agenda is a person who needs very little introduction to us, on the board at least, Erin Primer, to talk about food and nutrition services. Welcome.
Thank you so very much. What a great presentation that was. Great job, guys. Sunshine Spreaders. I need more of that in my life. Well, I'm really excited to get to speak with you all tonight. A little bit of an update. We're really going to talk about the Vivid Vision launch for our department, as well as some award acceptance. So first up, a little summer recap. We won the Farm to Summer Award from the California Department of Education. This was an award recognized for the incredible summer service program that we have. And it was a Farm to Summer week that was a celebration that they recognized us for. So wanted to make sure you knew that. Also, a very special thanks to Rotary District 5240. Randy Strong, the chair of their environmental committee, was able to get 4 of these amazing home composting units. These are rapid electric composters as well as biochar, and 2 will be going to Los Ranchos and 2 will be going to Baywood, so that students get to experience what it's like to not just create food waste, but turn it into usable compost that they'll be able to use at their school gardens. We also want to give a special thanks to the Nutrition Policy Institute. They were incredible partners doing some research. It was called the Smart Meals Study. This took place in the spring of last school year. Bishop's Peak, Laguna Middle School, and Morro Bay High School all participated. We had researchers on site. They looked at food waste. They had interviews with students, with our department, with principals, and each of these schools for their participation will be recognized with a $1,000 donation to their school site. We want to thank them for that. Also wanted to share with you, we have a new little mini unit riding around Slow High. This is called Tiger Bites. We have served a significant more students at Slow High. What once was a hope to reach to 200 or 250 for lunch. Now we are serving 700 students for breakfast and another 700 students for lunch. So we need Tiger Bites to help us get everyone fed in a timely manner. So before sharing with you just a little bit of what's happened, I wanted to give you a look back, a little bit of the past of our department as we talk about the future and our vivid vision. So a couple of numbers for you and sort of a did you know? Did you know that our department is self-funded? You guys all probably knew that, but for the audience at home, self-funded means we have to make our own money or else it would be a pull for the general fund. And from 2016 to 2018, I started in 2016, so this is when I started tracking. We were pulling from the general fund. We thank you all very much for that, but we're very proud to be out of that hole of the red. We've been operating in the black since then. In 2019, we had about 26 staff members, 9 of which were full-time. Today, that number is 42, with 30 of those team members full-time. So not only has our staff doubled, but we've really increased the value of a career working in school food service. Not only has there been more full-time work offered, but really these are more skilled positions. So we're looking at higher level, more robust positions, really looking at that culinary career. Couple of little stats of meal participation. So as you can imagine, how on earth did we double participation? How did we double meals? It really is this graph here on meal participation. So when you look at breakfast, lunch, and supper, and then total meals, the red and blue is our meal participation increase. Spoiler alert, the blue is what we're currently doing. And the other graph in orange and green shows you our average daily meal participation. So really enforcing that meals have just grown and they really haven't stopped. The need for doubling our team. So crunching some of these numbers, you can see that back in 2019, 2020, we were bringing in about $2 million of total income. Today, that's $6.5 million. Our total food costs have increased, our payroll costs have increased, and again, doubling our staff from about 26 members to over 42, and still growing. We're still looking for more people to join our team. The other really exciting part about this growth is the amount of business we've been able to do here locally. We've talked a lot about how important local food is, and this stat really shows it. 6 farms we did business with and 1 local business back in school year 2019-2020. And today that is 25 direct local farm purchases and 21 separate local food businesses. I'm really proud about the very last stat. That is $3,000 spent locally almost in 2019-2020 and just under $1 million last year. You can guess what our goal is this year is over $1 million spent direct here in SLO County. Really proud of that number. A little bit about what local looks like. You guys have all seen this information, but these are some of the farms and food businesses that we've worked with. You'll see these products in all of our school sites, ranging from local farms like Mallard Lake and their kiwi to other businesses like Olea Farm or Cook's Flavoring, looking at olive oil or flavoring extracts to go into our school meals. So what the heck is the secret to all this success? Well, it's pretty simple. It's actually that good food and great people plus free food equals more students served. This has very clearly been the success story that we've had. And to date, just between August and September, we've served 237,713 meals. That's in 2 months, my friends. That used to be what we brought in about a year. So we've grown at a pretty rapid rate. So I've talked about this vivid vision. What the heck is a vivid vision? What are we starting? Well, what we really wanted to do as a department is say, we've done some really incredible things. Where are we going? What is the future going to look like? So we met with an organization called Culture Stoke, and we've really worked with our team to decide, what is this direction? What does this look like? How are we going to create a blueprint to design this incredible facility that we call the food service department here at San Luis Coastal? It starts with this idea that better lives today, better tomorrow. So what you've just had in front of you, handed out, is this beautiful vivid vision. It's our vivid vision of 2027, because this is a look into the future. On that very first page, it talks about thinking of the first day of school in 2027. So this document has really been written as a reflection back to really talk about the goals that we have and how we want to get there over the next couple of years. Some of those program goals, those highlights, we want to serve 100% of our students. Man, we're on our way. We want to score 100% on our health inspections, 100% of our site monitoring. We want to invest $2 million in our local community. We want to partner with 75 local farms and businesses, donate 45,000 pounds of edible food waste, and get a 10 out of 10 of taste score from students. It's a lot. It's a big vision, but you can see that we've come from a place of having big dreams and being able to achieve them. We've got the right people in place. We've got the support of our incredible state being the leader in universal free meals. We're training our staff. And I think you can see from some of these pictures from when we had the Culinary Institute of America come just before school started, we've got a team of people who are really excited to serve ridiculously good food to kids. What a great job I have and what fun we have getting it done. Thank you guys so much. I'll take any questions.
Well, visionary ideas require a visionary leader, and I think that's what we have in you. We're really appreciative of all you have brought to our district in with food service. It's been amazing. It's been really wonderful to watch.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thanks, Erin. The next item on the agenda this evening is correspondence, and at the time the agenda was published, we had received one official correspondence from Lena Egan regarding secondary schedules structurally disadvantage our students from optimizing A through G completion and CTE pathway completion. At this time, we will move on to item 6.02, which is public comment. If you wish to address the board this evening, please fill out a yellow sheet. They're on the back table, close to the door, and let us know you have one. We will address those, call people up in the order received. At this time, this is for items of interest that people would like to address the board concerning that are not on the agenda. If you want to address us on a particular agenda topic, please note that on the yellow sheet. If you wish to address us on an agenda topic but don't want to wait for that agenda topic to appear, you can also address us at this time. Each person has 3 minutes in which to address the board. We adhere to that strictly. A timer will appear on the screen that you can refer to. We will stop you when your 3 minutes are up. We do this in the order of people present may address us first. We will then see if anyone on Zoom wishes to address the board, and then we will go to written public comment. If you sent us something in writing, and you may only address us one way on each topic. So if you're here and you sent something in writing, we will not read the written comment. So we need you to know that as well. And Mrs. Roger will call out who will begin handling this. I'm turning it over to her.
Okay, let's see. We'll be doing this in the order received, and our first speaker is two people together, Valerie and Cooper Baptista, followed by Luca Eckhart.
And 6th grade. And one reason I feel that Teach should expand at school is because of the learning opportunities you had there. And I think the curriculum there has prepared me for my advanced courses in middle school. And I think if kids had the opportunity to go 7th and 8th grade there, that they'd be more prepared for their classes in high school. And also a thing I liked about the curriculum was the engaging hands-on projects, because it helps students stay more focused if they're learning fun things they want to learn.
Hello, I'm Valerie Baptista. I have a current Teach student as well as Cooper in middle school, and I think there is a huge missed opportunity for students to continue their learning into 7th and 8th grade at Teach Elementary. Students that attend Teach are seeking more out of their educational journey and are challenged and engaged at Teach. Our district could have an opportunity to better engage middle school students and give them the hands-on advanced curriculum that they need. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Luca Eckhart.
Hi, members of the SLCUSD School Board. My name is Luca Eckhart, and I'm a 5th grader at Teach Elementary. I'm at this meeting because I really care about Teach and my future, and would like to support Teach expanding into a middle school. My experience at Teach has been incredible. Since joining Teach in 4th grade, I have loved project-based learning, the proximity to Cal Poly, as well as the wonderful and supportive staff and principal. Expanding the school to include the upper grades would provide me and others with a smooth transition into middle school. I really appreciate how Teach is different but still amazing. The project-based learning has made school fun for me and has helped me learn more about teamwork and being accountable to my classmates. Being next to Cal Poly is really inspiring for me, and I know that when I get to middle school, I would like to have a close relationship with the college for my future. I also think Teach has some of the best supportive staff and principal I've ever met. At Teach, all the adults are so supportive and fun to learn from. Expanding Teach to a middle school would continue all of this good learning. I'm also really passionate about math and even truly enjoyed social studies for the first time when I went to Teach. I hope Teach expands to a middle school because it is absolutely vital that students in our district have more than one option on where to go to middle school. I've thrived at Teach and would like to continue going to school here for middle school. I strongly encourage building a Teach middle school on Slocus facility when they move out. Needless to say, I think that you know where I stand. The facilities are there and the need is definitely there. It seems like a win-win. Thank you for taking time out of your busy lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Alyssa Buckholz, followed by Scott Buckholz.
Hello. You guys know my name already. Teach Elementary has been amazing. I'm in 6th grade and I moved from the Bay Area here last year and I came to Teach for 5th grade. It was amazing. I had the best 5th grade teacher and it really helped me understand that it was like challenging, but it was also fun learning everything because they teach you how to have fun and learn at the same time. I really liked ELA, and I definitely think that it'll be really good for us if we expand to 7th and 8th grade because I think, like he said earlier, I think it'll help us go more easily into middle school and high school. Our Cal Poly students, they come from Cal Poly, and we tried building battery cell cars for 5th grade. It was really fun. We had a few troubles with mine, but it was really fun either way. And it was just really fun seeing the Cal Poly students just come and play with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, hi there. I know that little one. I'm her dad, Scott. My wife and I came from Wisconsin, and so I have to laugh because a young man gave a presentation about FFA. So my wife, she was here, she would have loved that. She was FFA. And really, lots of gratitude for the lunch program. I think that is something special. We have a lot of farms and stuff in this area. Just wonderful. So hats off. Yeah, we actually moved when she was in 4th grade to this area, and she started at Bellevue, Santa Fe. Obviously, we learned it's very complicated. It didn't work out. After about a month, we had to leave. I've never had that experience in our life, and we made something work for 4th grade. We found 5th because a good friend in the neighborhood had recommended it, and it's incredible. I think the magic is they do that integrated curriculum, and the kids are really engaged with these big mentors, aka the college kids, and the college kids. They're not in a class, they're not being forced to do this generally, they're in a club. And so then they want to be there, it helps them. And there's something magical about them interfacing and developing these young kids. So you see this symbiote, this two-way relationship. I got to see some magic happen. She came in 5th grade, didn't know anyone, didn't have any friends. And that's a tough thing to crack. Some of these kids knew each other since kindergarten. Astro Camp was amazing. It's a very expensive camp, completely worth it in my opinion. I went as a parent host as well. They're always looking for dads instead of the moms. And my gosh, you spend a whole week there. The cliques break down on day 2. The boys are very tough, very strong. On the second night, they all want their moms, not their dads. And it is just wonderful to see how they would help each other, whether it be a rope course, learning science, learning about the electromagnetic spectrum. Blew my mind. Things that I don't even remember from high school. I get to see that a lot coming on campus at Teach. They have that STEAM lab, the innovation lab. And what's interesting, I hear from my friends now, In some of the other schools, maybe the staffing's not quite there, the training, or the teachers feel like they're not compensated to learn everything, and so it doesn't get used. Whereas at Teach, it's completely integrated. Love that. And I think Teach is a really good model for the rest of the schools. I'm just really proud of you guys. I can't believe that kind of a school exists. And we're really grateful for her. And, you know, I think about this with Sir Ken Robinson, who we lost in COVID, 2020. He was a fighter for Southern California education, came from London. And his thing was, don't let schools kill creativity. I think that's the theme I've been hearing. Oh, we're having fun. We're doing this. Well, they're learning. And by the way, that resiliency she spoke of, all their battery packs broke. And they learned how to deal with it. And they still came out of it really, really well. Well, have a good one, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Amber Wilkerson.
I reviewed the video last board meeting in its entirety, and I would like to address statements made by during Dr. Pinkerton's report. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Clausen and Mr. Unger. It appeared you were adamant on getting clarified answers regarding student safety from Mr. Pinkerton. It is the hard conversations and accountability from the board that will enact change. Mrs. Rogers, I appreciate what you stated that, and I paraphrase, we can do everything possible and there is still potential to hire adults who have deviant behavior. Well, I agree with this. It is also important to note that when deviant behavior is hinted at, observed, or reported, that is the time to address it. It should not be up to the site administrator, such as Leslie O'Connor, to decide whether it is deviant. It shouldn't depend on who the teacher is, how close they are to retirement, whether they coach, or public opinion. You also stated it is hard coming week after week and feeling beat up, and I get that. I understand and acknowledge that. However, the beat up feeling that you all feel from my 3-minute speech is nothing compared to the physical and emotional abuse my daughter endured and still endures because Jeff Brandow was left on campus for 5 months. Even when others saw something and said something, the administration chose to wait to see rather than put him on leave immediately. This is where SLCUSD fell short. Dr. Prater, these are protocols we want fixed, and it does appear that SLCUSD has implemented new policies and trainings that hopefully stop this from happening to someone else's child. However, I would ask this in addition. I would like to see a guideline implemented that no administrator is allowed to talk to a student regarding non-academic measures without notifying their parents before or during the conversation. Had I received a phone call before or during the meeting where Mrs. Dellinger and Mr. Dickinson interrogated Macy regarding Jeff Brandow's inappropriate behavior, the entire trajectory of this incident and case would be different. Additionally, the tip line is only as good as the person it is reported to. In this case, as stated at the board meeting, Mr. Pinkerton and Dr. Prater. However, Mr. Pinkerton, you did fall short in your ability to convince me that you take these kinds of complaints seriously because you made the statement, when parents have an issue with their child, their particular child, they are going to be very, very passionate. I want you to understand that this has never been about just my child. I'm a teacher at SLCUSD. It's about all children. It is about my child, but it's also about my students who will be future Tigers. This would have been over a year ago had it just been about my child. I attend and speak at these board meetings because being vocal changes policies. Being passionate is going to keep kids safe. So yes, as stated, some of us remain in the past despite these new policies. That's trauma. It doesn't disappear because you have a new safe school or safe policy, sports policy, or teacher training. I wish it were that easy. Thank you.
Becca Banfield.
Good evening. My name is Becca Banfield, and I'm a mother of 4 children living here in the district. I have a 4th grader at Teach Elementary School, as well as a 9th grader who formerly attended Teach. We also have a 6th grader at Pacheco who chose not to attend Teach and to stay at Pacheco for her 4th through 6th grade years. We also have a Monarch student. We have a lot of kids. We're very happy with the different schools, the 4 different schools that our children are attending right now. We're actually thrilled about every one of them. Our family has been very thoughtful about the schools our children have attended throughout the years. And we've discovered that one size doesn't fit all when it comes to parenting and when it comes to schools. Each of our children has different strengths, different weaknesses, and different needs. I have come to see over the years what an important gift Teach has been to our children who have attended. Its special focus on project-based learning, its emphasis on personal accountability, and its unique community of supportive families has met certain needs of my children that I feel infinitely grateful for. Teach is a blessing to our entire community. I would like to encourage you to please consider using funds from Measure C to expand Teach to include 7th and 8th grade. Some complain that schools like Teach and Pacheco pull children away from other SLC-USD schools. But I think that if we are truly putting students and their needs first, all children stand to benefit from increased options that appeal to their unique learning styles. I spoke with one teacher who expressed that she was always grateful when some children from her school left to attend Teach because that gave other students in her class opportunities to rise to certain leadership roles they possibly otherwise would not have. A small decrease in class sizes because of those leaving for Teach usually benefits those in the now slightly smaller classes and increases a staff-to-student ratio for those children. It means more time and attention for those who don't opt to attend Teach. I have 2 children of my own who fall into that category. More options to better meet student needs benefit everyone in the community. We have a very unique opportunity with the SLOCA site becoming available soon. Please consider using Measure C to expand Teach to 7th and 8th grade to give our children an additional option that can benefit all the children in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. And my last commenter is Jackie Lowe.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I just wanted to share that it's officially been 1 year since I first introduced myself to the board and requested to participate in equity work, with still no response from Mr. Boyer and no attempt to allow me access to this work in the district. And so I just ask for some feedback to know when that barrier will be taken down. It seems like last week that Mr. Clausen had requested from Dr. Prater that there be some contact, and that if a parent requests to be a part of this new committee, that they have access to that. And so I'm just sharing that I still have not received any response. I also would like to point out, I was very disappointed to see Mark Townsend's resignation listed this evening. I really feel that this reflects a failure on HR for losing an excellent community member and educator. It's very disappointing. And so as a community member, I just would like to ask when we're supposed to hear from our new HR superintendent and also providing reports to the community. And on that same note, there has not been any data or outcomes presented in any way about Hanover's research last year, which was the reason for why our direction with equity work shifted. Supposedly, we were working with them. I know I spoke with Dr. Prater, and he mentioned that the HR department was swamped and wasn't really able to do much with what Hanover provided. But I do feel that the public is entitled to the work that was done. And so I'm just asking that if we are using resources to increase employment and positions, that there should also be transparency with the choices that you guys are approving. So thank you.
Thank you. And I have one additional speaker, Chelsea Ruiz.
I'm the other Chelsea. So I'm here to talk about my support for Teach becoming a middle school. And I have 3 reasons why I believe strongly that the Teach program, while it should be, certain aspects should be copied and can absolutely be applied to our middle schools and our secondary schools, but I don't believe that it's 100% like copy and paste. I have some reasons why I don't think you can just duplicate everything that Teach does at the other 2 middle schools that we have. And the first one is the culture of Teach. And it's not that there's anything wrong with the culture of the other wonderful middle schools that we have, but the fact that students have to choose that, families have to choose that and make that break from their homeschool, it really attracts kids who are willing to do something brave and step out of their comfort zone and who are willing to try something new and hard and scary. And that culture not only attracts a certain kind of student, a certain kind of family, but also it makes them all so much more open to creating these new friendships and getting out of the bubbles that they were in and moving into new social circles. And so Teach really is exceptionally open and exceptionally kind and friendly and welcoming. And I think that that is why, because kids have to choose it in 4th grade and that it's a scary thing. And that's not necessarily replicable everywhere else. The second reason is because of the proportion of the high academically achieving student body. They're allowed, it's possible for the teachers to have a faster paced curriculum, and then they have more time for project-based learning. I know that all of the school sites do a really good job of including these hands-on relevant experiences for students. It's just that when you have as a whole, as a group, a population of students who are able to just move quickly, there's just more time to integrate those projects throughout the curriculum. And the third reason is that it is a school of choice. And, I think a lot of times the robust fundraising efforts of Teach can come under a lot of scrutiny in the community. And I think that sometimes school sites can feel like, well, we could use those funds at our school, right? But I believe that Teach is able to raise the amounts of money it is because parents and families value the experience that Teach provides, and that they would not necessarily be donating those amounts of money if they were at their school site. So appreciate Teach, appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to address the board? Thank you. We'll move on to,
Yes,
there is one.
Sí, buenas tardes. La señora Elizabeth quiere hablar.
Okay. So because we will be using the translator, oh no, okay.
Señora Elizabeth puede hablar.
Okay. All right. I'm showing Jamie St. Cyr wishes to address the board.
Yes, thank you. My name is Jamie St. Cyr, and I currently have a student in 4th grade at Teach Elementary and a younger daughter who's in 2nd grade who really wants to join her sister at Teach. I also have 2 children that attended Teach in 4th through 6th grade and that are now thriving adults. My family moved here 15 years ago from Northern California to have a better quality of life for our children, and this included their school. And so my older children started at a local elementary school, and they were completing all of their assignments quickly. They were finding school boring. They requested to go to Teach to have more of a challenge. And my current 4th grader had some challenges at her school that she attended prior to Teach, which were very negative experiences with students that were never addressed. And so as a result, my husband and I started talking about changing schools for her so she can have a more positive experience and gain the knowledge that she needed going through school. And so at this time, she came to us and asked to look into Teach. And so having that public school option for her that we also knew would be beneficial for her, not only academically, but socially as well, has been greatly appreciated. Teach was a great experience for our older children. It was not only challenging for them, but it also taught them how to manage their time with their project-based learning, their organizational skills, preparing them well for middle school and high school. They made connections with students that they are still friends with now, even though they're well out of high school. So I found that Teach has been an amazing opportunity for our children, and I look forward to our younger children having that same experience, and we're hopeful that they can also continue that experience into middle school as well. Thank you for your time.
Right. Anyone else? Ms. Dawson? All right, we will move on to written public comment we received.
Okay. We have quite a bit, so I'll begin. The first is Morgan Malone. My name is Morgan Malone, and I have 2 kids in the San Luis Coastal Unified School District. We love Teach Elementary School and would love to see it expand to include 7th and 8th grade. Teach provides a wonderful format for learning that greatly serves the children in our community. Unfortunately, Laguna Middle School has a negative reputation that I would like to avoid subjecting my children to. This would also help alleviate our impacted Laguna Middle School. I strongly urge you to consider using Measure C to help facilitate this expansion, especially in light of the SLOCA site becoming available. Wyndham Ruiz. Good evening, esteemed board members. My name is Wyndham Ruiz, former student of Teach Elementary, and I am here today to speak in favor of expanding Teach Elementary into a middle school. My apologies for not being here tonight to give this comment in person, but I have obligations to my competitive dance team. I'm currently a Laguna Lancer, and while I feel like all my teachers love what they do and care about each and every one of their students and want us to succeed, I am not being challenged enough in the majority of my classes. The only classes I'm challenged in are advanced math and advanced English. It's very different from Teach. At Teach, I felt like I was learning new things every day and having eye-opening experiences in every class, and having extra opportunities such as the Teach Talks in 6th grade, which is similar to a TED Talk. Presenting opportunities aren't offered at Laguna. Teach was a very different and very unique experience, and I would not have gotten at another elementary school. I know that there are great teachers at Laguna too, but they're limited by the wide range of student abilities in their classes. For example, I really like my science teacher at Laguna. He always has engaging hands-on lab activities. But due to the slow pace of this class and others, I don't feel I'm learning as much as I could, and I'm bored. When I walk into my classes that aren't advanced, I know that I'm not going to be challenged, and it makes me feel negatively about the subject and the education system. I never felt that way when I was at Teach. I was always excited to learn every day with my friends. My sudden change in attitude about school isn't due to my age or hormones. It's due to the school environment. In my advanced math class, Ms. Farrell is a great teacher. I like how her class is fast-paced and we're always learning something new. I learn best when I'm challenged, and that crucial aspect is missing from the majority of my classes at Laguna. If the curriculum was more like it was at Teach, I would feel like I was seizing every moment of my precious time at Laguna Middle School. I urge you to seriously consider the expansion of Teach Elementary into a middle school to continue providing this invaluable experience to future generations. Thank you for your time and consideration. John Hanlon. Good evening and thank you for your time. I am a parent of a 5th grader at Teach Elementary School. I am speaking in favor of expanding Teach Elementary School from a 4th through 6th grade to 4th through 8th grade. This would provide an alternative middle school for students who need a rigorous, relevant, and engaging learning environment. I know many students would benefit greatly by this opportunity. I urge you to seriously consider the expansion of Teach Elementary into a middle school. Thank you for your time and consideration. Reed Hanlon. Hello, I am 10 years old and a fifth grader at Teach Elementary. My name is Reed Hanlon. Teach provides a variety of fun and educational field trips, camps, and is much more project-based than what you would see in other schools across the district. Each grade will go to a different camp. Fourth grade goes to Camp Ocean Pines. Fifth grade goes to Astro Camp. Sixth grade goes to Santa Catalina Island. Teach extending through middle school would be great for the students because we would be able to have a much larger campus. Teach extending would also be great because we could continue the project-based learning and camps. This would provide a great opportunity for new middle schoolers and students that have been at Teach. Mindy Wilkinson. My name is Mindy Wilkinson, and I have one child at Laguna Middle School and two children in Teach with the San Luis Coastal Unified School District. Based on our poor experience with Laguna, we would welcome an expansion of Teach Elementary School to include 7th and 8th grade. Teach provides a wonderful format for high achievement kids that the other schools do not. This would also help alleviate our impacted Laguna Middle School, which has all the character of a 1970s slaughterhouse. My daughter has received perfect grades and is challenged by 2 of her 6 classes each year, but dreads the rest. While our experience at Bishop's Peak the last 2 years has been dramatically better than in the 1980s, the Laguna campus and associated poor facilities are largely the same. I strongly urge you to consider using Measure C to help facilitate this expansion, especially in light of the SLOCA site becoming available. We've attended SLOCA as well and would prefer to support public schools governed with oversight, attended and funded by our neighbors, with the common cause of giving our kids the resources to fully develop their potential. Eric Vincent. My name is Eric Vincent, and I have 2 students currently at Teach Elementary. I am writing to express my strong support for the proposal to expand Teach Elementary School to include 7th and 8th grade classes. This initiative is not just an expansion. It is a vital step toward ensuring that our students receive the comprehensive, rigorous education they deserve. My son came to Teach not only to follow in his sister's footsteps, who is in her 3rd incredible year at Teach, but also to get away from the negative behaviors that occur way too often in our schools that were directly affecting him. My son was being bullied at Del Mar, and he had a principal whose approach was to kick the can down the road, hoping it would get better and solve itself. It didn't. Unfortunately, my son has found a home at Teach where he is happy and, most importantly, feels safe. My son is not alone. There is a need for an alternative learning environment to Loams and Laguna, and expanding Teach would fill that void. By extending the Teach program to encompass grades 4 through 8, we can maintain the academic rigor our children have experienced, providing a consistent learning path that minimizes gaps in education. Teach Elementary has established a unique culture that prioritizes hands-on learning and collaboration. By expanding the program, we not only cater to the academic needs of our gifted students, but also provide a safe and supportive environment for those who may require a more intimate educational setting. This is especially crucial for neurodivergent students and LGBTQIA+ students who benefit from a smaller school community. The proposed expansion ensures that all high-achieving students, regardless of socioeconomic background, have access to advanced educational opportunities. This fosters equity in our educational system, empowering students to thrive in an environment tailored to their needs. An accelerated program spanning middle school will equip students with the skills necessary for high school and beyond. The skills our children develop at Teach, communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking, are invaluable for their future endeavors. With SLOCA vacating the property, it's the perfect time for expansion. Measure C funds could assist with the expansion. By expanding the TEACH program, we are investing in the development of well-rounded students prepared for a life of purpose and engagement in a diverse world. This decision will not only uphold the legacy of the TEACH program, but also ensure that our children receive an education that truly prepares them for the future. Michael Wright. My name is Michael Wright, and I have 3 children in San Luis Coastal Unified School District. 2 of them currently go to Teach Elementary School, with one in 4th grade and the other in 5th grade. Both of them love going to Teach, so we would really like to see the school expanded for additional grades, specifically 7th and 8th grade. Teach provides a wonderful format for learning that greatly serves the children in our community. This would also help alleviate our impacted Laguna Middle School. I strongly urge you to consider using Measure C to help facilitate this expansion, especially in light of the SLOCA site becoming available. Adrienne Petkowicz. My name is Adrienne Petkowicz, and I have 3 children in San Luis Coastal Unified School District. 2 of them currently go to Teach Elementary School, with one in 4th grade and the other in 5th grade. Both of them love going to Teach, so we would really like to see the school expanded for additional grades, specifically 7th and 8th grade. Teach provides a wonderful format for learning that greatly serves the children in our community. This would also help alleviate our impacted Laguna Middle School. I strongly urge you to consider using Measure C to help facilitate this expansion, especially in light of the SLOCA site becoming available.
Thank you. We have one more, it's my understanding we have one more person on Zoom who would like to speak. She will be using the translation services, so we will allow her 6 minutes on the clock, please.
La persona que quiere hacer el comentario público en línea en español puede empezar ahora. Señora Elizabeth, si puede, por favor, encender su micrófono.
Listo.
Muy bien, ¿puede empezar?
Ok, mi nombre es Wendy Elizabeth Alayón.
My name is Wendy Elizabeth Alayon.
Soy la mamá de Carlos Quiroz.
My student is Carlos Quiroz.
Mi preocupación es la siguiente, es porque mi hijo
My worry is as follows.
ha tenido tardía y tiene casi un mes teniendo detención.
My son has had a detention for almost a month.
Él es alumno de del 12, ya para graduarse.
And he's a senior, almost to graduate.
Mi preocupación es porque ha tenido muchas detenciones y no sé qué consecuencia le pueda causar más adelante.
My worry is that he's had a lot of detentions, and I'm not sure what the consequences would cost him in the future.
Somos migrantes venezolanos.
We're immigrants from Venezuela.
Empezó en el 10º grado, ya empezando las clases.
He started as a sophomore.
Nueva cultura, nueva lengua.
New culture, new language.
Tiene casi todo su crédito completo para graduarse.
He almost has all his credits to graduate.
Y estuvo secuestrado 11 días en México por un cartel.
Okay, and he was kidnapped by the cartels in Mexico for 11 days.
Está ahorita con terapia con psicólogo.
He's going to therapy with a psychologist right now.
También tiene un support emocional.
And he also has an emotional support group.
Y mi preocupación es porque estar en un salón solo, castigado porque tiene tardía y él ha tenido trauma y no quiero que tenga más trauma. Estoy preocupada.
So I'm worried that because he's being you know, he's been having detentions. I'm worried that he's in a room by himself. And because he's late to school, so he's gets detentions. And I'm worried that he's just alone in one room. And the negative, the negativity that this might cause.
También hablamos con su director García
We
para,
spoke to the principal Garcia
para que a ver si lo podía cambiar con la de clase de inglés,
to see if
ponerle
he
otra profesora.
to see if he would switch his English class to another teacher.
Ujú, y dijo que no había más profesores.
And he said no, that there were no more, there were no other teachers.
Quisiera qué posibilidades hay de buscar una solución, una ayuda, porque el año pasado él solucionó, arregló lo de las tardías, pero este año empezó otra vez a poner, le empezaron a poner tardías y
Okay.
son todas las semanas que tiene tardías.
¿Y si llega tarde?
Esta semana, un día estuvo en una reunión con el profesor Jiménez y le pusieron tardía.
Okay, so last year he got detentions because he was always late. He got better, but now he's being late again. And this week he had an appointment with one of the teachers, and he was late to class, and they marked him as late.
Y lo que no estamos muy de acuerdo es con las detenciones, con el castigo.
So we're not, we don't agree with all the detentions, the punishment that he's getting.
Ok, gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Alayon, we will have someone reach out to you. Thank you. All right, we will now move on to the superintendent's updates, and first is business and budget update. Mr. Pinkerton.
Yeah, just quickly on the budget side, we are continuing to go through getting ready for first interim. So in particular, really focused on personnel costs and looking at our personnel and making sure that that's, you know, we want to make sure that when we're at first interim that we have pretty solid numbers, right? So that we can move forward and basically give the board the correct information in looking at our potential ongoing budget deficit, right? We should find out what our property taxes are. So that we can then make the necessary reductions. But it's really important that we know where we stand before we have that conversation. That's it.
Thank you. Educational services update, Ms. Yamashita.
Good evening, board and public. As you know, school is in full swing and we are engaged in lots of planning activities and support. We got to hold a fantastic joint principal meeting this morning with many of our TOSAs present. Looking at our new student analytics data visualization tool called Parsec, and also doing, they have a new product called Parsec Real that we're going to be using to survey at first our students and possibly some of our parents. And so you're going to be hearing more about that shortly. We also, as you know, are going to be federally program monitor reviewed coming up in March by the California Department of Education. And so on Friday, I was with my team working with a consultant and preparing the long list of documents that we're going to have pulled together for our review audit. Also, youth athletics is fully underway with girls volleyball and boys, I blanked, what is it? Soccer going on, and they had their first school site games last Friday. I got to go to Pacheco and watch Pacheco and teach, and I think it was Bishop's Peak together competing. Next week will be our district tournament at Laguna. So again, that is all the 5th and 6th graders. We held last week our DLAC LPAC meeting. It was our second meeting. Thank you, Mr. Buckman, for attending. And and Miss Roger was there right next to me, no less. And we had a great turnout with many families from all of our schools, and we're seeking their input on the notification process to families about our EL programming. We also held our technology task force kickoff at SLO High in the Commons. We had about 30 staff members and parents there to talk about the mission and work we're going to engage in and look at what the former vision of educational technology implementation was for our school district. And I gave them a lengthy homework reading assignment of all of our current tech practices. We'll be getting together again in a week or two, and I'll be doing a board presentation for all of you later. I had meetings with community partners, foundation strategic planning meetings, site visits. We also had with Dr. Puccia and our Lozano Smith attorneys, our Title IX training for all of our administrators and managers. And I got to attend with Ms. Shepard, the SLO County Office of Education's Ed Services Council monthly meeting, and hear about all the upcoming things and compliance in the state of California. So great work with my team.
Thank you. All right, next is our Measure C update, Mr. Pinkerton.
Yeah, on Thursday, of course, the board, we walked through the study session, went through our project budgets, right, for phase 1, phase 2, potentially phase 3. And all that goes into that. So we did have a follow-up. Chris Bonner, myself, Gary walked all the campuses throughout the school district on Friday and kind of re-looking at what we're doing and, trying to bring that budget into alignment as well. So I'm going to hold it to that because we have 3 big items on the board agenda later tonight.
Thank you. All right, next is item 8.01, a resolution to determine sufficient textbooks and instructional materials.
Good evening, board. At our last meeting, you all held a public hearing to determine that each pupil in each school in the districts has sufficient test books or instructional materials that are aligned to the content standards. At this same meeting, Mr. Neff and I shared that the district is currently sufficient in all areas.
So based on that, tonight we'd ask you adopt the resolution.
All right. First, we'll go to the public to see if anyone wishes to address the board on this item. Oh, our public is gone. Next, I'll see none. We'll come to the board. Any discussion about this? And if not, then I would like a motion, please.
I'd like to move adoption of 05-24-25.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Banfield and a second by Mrs. Hinton. Mr. Banfield.
Yes.
Mr. Buckman.
Yes.
Mrs. Hinton.
Yes.
Mrs. Roger. Mr. Unger.
Yes.
I am a yes, so that motion carries 6-0 with 1 absence. All right, thank you. All right, moving on to 9.01, our local control and accountability plan, known as LCAP, outreach plan, and federal addendum.
Yeah, do you want me to run it from here? Yeah, perfect. I have a clicker. And it works. Good evening, board and members of the public. I am here to share with you kind of a shortened version of the LCAP Roadshow that we have been speaking with different community groups about. And I apologize if you have already heard this presentation before in one of the other places, but also I know it is of the utmost importance of this board that we do a really thorough and new and different job of community outreach and receiving feedback and input on the LCAP this year. And so I'll explain to you some of our new and different strategies. Oh, sorry. Again, the LCAP compliance documents require us to have an LCAP Parent Advisory Council. That's called our LCAP PAC. And we also need to collaborate with educational partners groups. And so I'll be explaining as I go through the presentation the different points at which community can engage with us. On The timeline. So tonight, October 2024, we're doing the first board presentation to review the LCAP process, overview and outreach plan. Next week will be our first LCAP PAC advisory team meeting. And we're going to review with them the LCAP Roadshow and go over the survey questions and survey plan we're going to do. We'll be back in February to review with you all the required LCAP mid-year report. And then by March, we will have all of the feedback collected from our educational partners and be able to share that with you and let you provide your input as well on the LCAP design. And by April, May, we'll have the outline, the goals, actions, budget development. And then by May, we should have the first reading and budget ready to go. And then hopefully in June, it'll be the second reading and we'll be asking for your approval. I will give you a chance at the end to ask questions and give feedback. But in the meantime, this is how we are required to build the LCAP. We have to first consider what do the laws and compliance things by the state of California and the Federal Department of Education require us to do. What does the research say is best practices to help students move along in their learning? We must think about what our community wants us to do, which is why the educational partner feedback is so critical. And we have to consider what do we actually have the current capacity to do. If we try and change everything at the same time, one, we won't be able to track what made a difference. But secondly, we likely won't be able to do any of it very well or thoughtfully or articulated. So we need to ensure that the action steps we check are in alignment and we're able to track them and see if they're making a difference or not. Specifically, as you know, the LCAP, which is usually for us, it's about $6 million, will be to address students in the English learner group, the socioeconomically disadvantaged group, foster homeless youth students, and students requiring special education. So our action steps are going to be written to address those student needs, although it might also impact other students as well. So I'm going to start with our outreach to students first because we want to keep students and their feedback at the center. And the way we're going to engage with students is through the Superintendent Student Senate. I always go and do a presentation about the LCAP and ask for their feedback. The great thing is our student senators definitely represent those groups that we're required to be receiving feedback from. There are English learners, there are foster homeless youth students, there are socioeconomically disadvantaged students, and there are special education students in the Superintendent Senate. So it's kind of a one-stop shop to get all of our bases covered. But in addition to that, with our secondary students, we're going to be doing an actual 3-question survey through the new Parsec Real tool I told you about during their school day. And we're going to collect either a video or an audio clip or a typed response that will then be analyzed. Then in the green column, we're going to be reaching out to some formal groups that we're required to receive feedback from. Obviously, the board meeting presentations, reaching out to the public, the LCAP Parent Advisory Council, LCAP PAC, I already talked to you about, and then Dr. Prater's Common Ground Advisory Task Force also will be another place that we can receive formal feedback from. I will be presenting, actually, I think Thursday, to the parent leader PTA booster groups, encouraging them to take the LCAP survey and share with them what our plan is. We will be going out to DLAC next. Actually, I did this presentation at the DLAC meeting we had last night and asked for their feedback on the LPAC. And then right now on our website through October, we married the Youth Truth and the LCAP survey into one so that we know that we have great participation by, well, many of our families on the Youth Truth. And so we were able to tack on LCAP survey questions to that and hope that by creating one survey opportunity, we would get more participation. So we'll let you know soon how that goes. And then finally, we want to make sure that our staff members, both classified and certificated, have a chance to give us feedback about the work we're doing. And so I will be meeting with specifically our employee groups and union leadership to give them an opportunity to give us feedback. And then we're going to be doing staff surveys. So the elementary principals have all designed a week where during their staff meeting, they're going to be asking staff to do the LCAP survey and the Youth Truth survey. And then on November 1st, during the Teacher Professional Development Day for our secondary teachers, there's a half hour designated during the PD day to do their feedback. So we have a much more detailed and specific timeline for surveying different groups and using different kinds of tools. Some of them will be through Google Forms, some of them will be through Parsec Reel, and we're hoping that these varied opportunities will get us more participation. Part of our work in describing our work through the LCAP is really the LCAP is one piece of our bigger, broader budget system of student support. And so to that end, I was able to review and will be reviewing with other groups that we have about $137 million a year in revenues. Last year in 2023-2024, we actually expended or spent about $144 million. And as Mr. Pinkerton shared earlier, we spent about $7 million more than we had come in revenues. And that was through the one-time ESSER funds, which are now going to be expended. So some things moving forward to think about. Again, the LCAP we're working on right now is going to be the plan for implementation in 25-26. It is year 2 of the big 3-year LCAP we wrote last year. It's going to be about $6 million to support those student groups I already mentioned. But we also anticipate that there'll be some general fund budget reductions required next year if we want to have a balanced budget. And personnel expenditures are about 86% of our total revenues. So we're going to need to look carefully at obviously staffing and other things we're doing to bring our budget into alignment. Another part of building our LCAP we want to keep at the forefront are your school board goals and priorities. And it's very clear that closing the achievement gap and overall student achievement is priority 1 for our team at the district office as well as all of the schools. And so that's going to remain a focus in our action steps. We also heard loud and clear from you, as well as our LCAP survey information last year, that student wellness is really at the center of the minds of many of our members of our community. They want us to ensure inclusivity, provide ongoing support to our wellness centers and the other important mental health programs we provide at our schools. We know that it requires the adults, staff, and families to be well supported as well, and you have asked us to recruit and retain highly qualified and diverse personnel, among other things, and we will continue to focus on staff and family support. And finally, your last goal of effective stewardship of resources, meaning fiscal discipline and ensuring the resources support our student programming. So these are some select examples of each categories of the LCAP last year. So our first focus area is about rigorous, relevant, and engaging instruction and curriculum. We know that first best teaching that goes on in the traditional classroom is the most important factor to move students forward to develop relationships with a trusted result. So some of the big ticket items we are doing in this area include summer planning and teacher training that goes on with our teachers over the summer, above and beyond the 1 day of training we already have in our teacher contract. We allow the principals and the teachers to work together. Also, we wanted to help our leaders focus on leading equitable schools and Leaders to Watch training academies. So that's direct support to our leaders and teacher leaders with a focus on centering student voice of marginalized communities. I Innovate, which you heard much about tonight through our public comments, but we know operates across all of our schools. is a really critical project-based learning CTE pathway ready program in our elementary schools. And finally, to create rigorous and engaging instruction, we need to know how our students are doing. And so assessment and data metrics are really important for teacher and school level planning. We are required, to measure the effectiveness of each of the action steps we have. So there on the right under metrics, it lists the types of student achievement data we will be looking at and monitoring and reporting out to you in the mid-year report and the end of year report on if it's making a difference or not. Next up is goal 2, which is multi-tiered academic supports. And this is the way that we provide additional extra targeted instruction to students who may have learning gaps or need extra something different from the school. Specifically listed here, again, these are just some select examples of the big ticket items in this category, but they include our incredibly powerful and formerly MTSS and now S-cubed teachers that Chelsea Smiley at Del Mar was referring to. And they are doing both professional development for teachers as well as monitoring student achievement data and holding student meetings for those that need it. You'll see here also another one are our English learner specialists. So if you remember, we were trying to ensure that our students that were just beginning to learn English have special pull-out direct, it's called designated ELD time with an English learner specialist. And then those students who are achieving and ready to integrate into the core are staying with their classroom teacher for the integrated ELD time. We also have made huge changes, as you know, to our newcomer programming at the high school and secondary levels. We purchased many English learner materials because we did not formerly have a robust curriculum, and now we got it aligned to benchmark, as well as our newcomer programs having curriculum. It's called SIPE, I think is what it's called, from New York. And finally, last listed here is our amazing AVID programs. And I know we've done some other board presentations about that, so you probably know about that. But that's our amazing program to help first generation college going students. And then finally, focus area of 3 is our intentional culture of care, our social emotional well-being of students and staff. And of course, at the top of the list are our elementary counselors at every one of our elementary schools. They do both tier 1 lessons in every classroom about how to be a good human or a better human. I'm sure we could all benefit from them. But in addition to that, then they also do targeted problem solving if there's conflict between students. They also are in all of those parent-teacher conference meetings with students needing additional support and help. Also in this category are our 2 new Wellness Center staff members, Austin Miller and Heather Mills, at our 2 high schools running our wellness centers. And also listed here is the parent education opportunities. So we know and have heard that our parents would like us to provide more opportunities for how to work with the school, but also work with their children at home. And again, there's some different kind of data metrics that we use over there on the right that are all standardized measurements: the California Healthy Kids Survey, Youth Truth, positive attendance, chronic absenteeism, graduation data. And then finally, we have this chunk of money that's about $6,000 or $7,000 through the LCAP funding that is supposed to be targeting those students that fit those categories. We also have federal program money, categorical programs. Sometimes they're called title programs. Title I you may have heard of before for free and reduced lunch. So we are required as an LEA, a local education unit, to make a report to California Department of Education that tells them that our Title I funds that are meant for students of poverty, students in need, are aligned with and match the same actions and goals and steps that we're putting together in our LCAP, because they don't want our programming and goals to support students in the LCAP heading one direction while our federal program money is working in a different direction. And so what this federal addendum is it's explaining the ways that our federal Title I monies are being spent in alignment with the LCAP monies that were already allocated. We also have used the feedback we received in last year's LCAP surveys to make sure that our title money is also being spent in alignment with the LCAP feedback we already received. So it's a way to maximize our federal monies that we receive while continuing to support our LCAP identified student subgroups. We will be bringing this addendum back to you in the consent as a consent agenda item in a couple weeks after we share it with the LCAP PAC and get their feedback, and after we share it with our DLAC parent group and get their feedback. So what questions or feedback or input do you have?
First, I'd like to go to the public, see if anyone has any comments or questions on this presentation. Okay, see no one, will come back to the board. Mr. Unger, then Mr. Banfield.
Lisa, I have a question about one of the groups that you identified as part of our LCAP group was special education, and this is a new one for me. I thought it was foster homeless youth, kids in poverty, English language learners, but this is new for me. How are we using LCAP money to supplement, not supplant, our current special education money, because I believe that would be illegal. So tell me more about the relationship between LCAP and our special education programs. Like I said, this is brand new to me.
Yeah, so the special education group is added because on the California dashboard, it is one of the red zone indicator groups, meaning that their performance on state assessments is not growing at the rate we would expect it to. So we're required to ensure that our LCAP funds are supporting the special education students as well as those other groups. And the way, for example, the summer planning and teacher training activities as part of Goal 1 could be teachers get their new class list and have an opportunity to review the students who are on IEPs or needing special education, and then making special groupings or learning activities, or collaborating with last year's teacher or the special ed teacher about what that student might need as differently, et cetera.
In the regular education classroom.
Yes, it would be the regular education
So that
teacher.
would support those kind of conversations.
Yes.
Okay.
That would be one example. Obviously the iInnovate program, which is also part of Goal 1, would include students with special needs who might need special access to using tools and resources in our iInnovate labs if they have a physical disability, for example.
And then this brings me to one other question, which I hadn't thought about before, but you said special education is included in this because it was a red area on our California dashboard. Essentially an area where we need to target some of these things. Are there other groups that would not be called out specifically in the LCAP that are in that category that we should be providing other kinds of funds for based on the requirement that we do it? So for example, I mean, I'll just be in very urban areas, African American children are not showing the kind of progress that they should be showing, and there has been some controversy about whether using federal funds to target that particular group because of their racial backgrounds is legal or not. So do we have other groups that we should be paying attention to?
I would say yes, we definitely have other red indicators on our California school dashboard. I can re-share with you the list of the California dashboard red indicators. It is not only by student subgroup, but it is also by school. So for example, Pacheco's English learners did not make expected adequate progress in redesignating as a subgroup last year. And again, Pacheco's doing a wonderful, lovely job, and this isn't speaking poorly of the leadership or the teachers there. It's just that is one of our red dashboard indicators. And so we are required to call out in the LCAP specifically what we are going to be doing differently for our Pacheco English learner indicator. Now, because it's an interesting budgetary juxtaposition because we are a basic aid district and our LCAP is a very small portion of money compared to our overall budget. So the majority of what we are doing for Pacheco's EL stuff is actually just through our general fund and planning and staffing, and that it's not specifically related to the $6 million that the LCAP is having, but we still have to write a plan about how we're going to address that red dashboard indicator. I'd also like to remind you that the dashboard indicators run a bit behind schedule. So in December, the California dashboard will come out for the scores from last spring, and we'll do a presentation with you then with the updates. We're very excited and hopeful. For example, our chronic absenteeism dashboard should be very different this year than last year because we made significant growth reducing our chronic absenteeism.
All right, Mr. Banfield.
Yeah, I'm looking back on the slide that had the 4 divisions of the outreach development. And the first column, it was superintendent, student senate, and underneath that, student surveys. And maybe I misunderstood. Did you say something about a 3-question survey?
Yes, so traditionally our LCAP survey was 4 questions long. There was one about academic achievement, a question about MTSS, and a question about emotional care, and then a question about equity. What we did is we took the question about equity and rolled it into the first question. So we reframed it under what supports do you think we should do to make instruction more relevant, more rigorous, more engaging? And how do we ensure that no group is left out or is treated different or has different opportunities? And we asked that for all 3 questions.
All right, thanks.
Mr. Buckman?
It's amazing difference since last year. I almost want to say congratulations.
Thanks.
I still have questions though.
Yeah.
Okay. So it seems like our focus has shifted more towards the subgroups that we should be paying attention to at LCAP. Is my feeling correct, or are we still?
I can't speak to what it was prior, but
Okay.
yes, we are focused on the students most in need.
Okay, well, that's really cool. On the parent leader meeting, we're down to maybe about 15 participants, maybe, 3 board members and a lot of staff. So I'm wondering if that's going to be a really good source of information coming from parents. So I'm worried about relying on that as our parent input, but I think you've got a ton of other places.
That's by no means our only parent input. That is one of the places we are gathering parent input from.
Great. The $6 million of LCAP money that you said, and then the next discussion was about having to cut the budget. So is the $6 million for LCAP, is that guaranteed to be $6 million? Or is
Yeah,
is that going to
Ryan,
be
do you know the actual number? You or Katie have it? It's many.
The LCAP is based on what we'd receive if we were an LCFS district, so it doesn't change.
It's
So
6.
it's still about 6 million.
Yeah. Thank you. That's great. And I'm going to ask my fellow board members if you have a question you need to ask, just please interrupt, but I've got several. Okay. On the slides, there were dollar amounts that were already assigned, and I'm wondering where those dollar amounts came from because we're out there asking for input, and it looks like we've already assigned dollar amounts.
That is this year's current
Right,
LCAP
okay.
that we're asking for feedback on, and
Right.
then we will design the budget and action steps for next year. So this is trying to tell people, so they can give us some informed feedback. These are the action steps we're currently doing, and this is how much these action steps cost, so they can give us feedback on that.
In this is gonna be my always bugaboo. When you call up the slide, that one right there, parent education opportunities, and it always is like that number so small, and the board had as one of its priorities, parents. And I want to go to that, but it's like, I'm just hoping parents and everybody come back with a real, this is what parents are asking. They're asking for input, and they're asking for help, and they're asking for education opportunities. And I don't know, what is a really good speaker cost when we do staff development? It's 2 speakers might gobble that up. 1 speaker might gobble it up. So that's just my input. Can we look at slide 7 maybe? I'm not sure it's the right. I can't see numbers now.
Is it the
Okay.
multi-tiered
Yeah,
academic support slide?
it's the board priority slide. I think.
Got it.
Thanks. So when we get to staff and family support and we talk about recruiting, and in my mind, this was, my feeling was that staff and family support was not an HR, like go out and hire. It was more, families want support and staff should maybe, I don't know, staff development. So I was a little shocked when I read this one.
That would
Just a
just be my effort at condensing your 15 bullet points to fit in a box on the slide. Yes, Mark, there are several other things to support all levels of our staff members. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yes,
I'm just-
I apologize if I shrunk it too much and didn't
Well,
share your
I'm
intent.
just always looking for that parent thing. The next slide, maybe. It talks about somewhere, leading equitable schools and leaders watched academy. Is that in here? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So improving classrooms and that just, I'm just trying to figure out how that works for the subgroups, leading equitable schools and tell me what the Leaders to Watch Academy is again. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm just missing it.
Yeah, the leaders, well, let me start with the Leading Equitable Schools.
Right.
That's the Center for Educational Leadership from
Okay.
the University of Washington.
Okay.
And they're coming to do trainings with our 4 secondary schools. And it's the principals and select teacher leaders from their schools. And it's learning how to center voice of students. And we're doing some professional learning days together. And then we're having what they call embedded sessions. So we're going to be going out to Morro Bay High and SLO High next week to do some student fishbowl interviews and then talk about what we learned from that experience of asking kids about their experience. So believe the outline from SLO High, Mr. Neff, do you remember they were going to do like 9th grade Hispanic boys in a panel? And then do you remember off the top of your head, Morro Bay High's?
Okay.
Yep, there we go.
Good.
Chronically absent English language learners. So we're trying to target a very specific group that definitely fits in this LCAP group
Good,
to
okay.
hear from the students about their experience and then make a plan of change. So that's the Leading Equitable Schools work. The Leaders to Watch Academy was Dr. Prater's vision for our middle school leaders. As you know, both of our middle schools have been celebrated as leaders. Sorry, it's not Leaders to Watch, it's Schools to Watch in middle school. And do you want to speak to the program for our middle school principals? Okay,
So
but it's the program that group provides principal training.
So is this Schools to Watch? Or-
Yeah, it's Schools to Watch people.
So part of the board's priorities for me were to support our leaders at the sites. And so since our middle schools are involved in the Schools to Watch continuous improvement cycle planning, which is why it's so powerful, they created an executive supports program, basically leaders to watch. And so we signed up our middle school teams, both Loams and Lambs, going together. And they're going to meet, I think, 6 times this year. Mostly, well, the first kickoff is in Lake Tahoe, and
Coming up
and they're
next week.
assigned a leader mentor by site. So, and these are successful former schools to watch principals who understand the rubric, who understand the importance of all those frames. And so by doing this, we're taking the first and important steps of creating alignment, programmatic alignment across our middle school district middle school program. So you should not see, as we move forward, you should not see dramatic differences in our middle school programs. If your child goes to Loams, there should not be a discerning difference than if they went to Lambs in terms of academic quality, in terms of social emotional support, all the things that we know are important at the middle level. And you know, I think I'm really proud of where this is going. And I think that's a piece of our effort to align our middle schools, the real power of a middle school program is when you can get middle school teachers together around how to care deeply for kids so they can thrive. And what we have been struggling with is our middle schools have been in isolation of each other, and you notice it, which is part of the issue. So this is something that I know will work and be powerful. We have, I believe, the much improved leadership engagement and staff engagement. We're gonna get there. This is a good first step. We have a long way to go.
Thanks. Okay. And if we could go back to the slide. Is it just stuff that I didn't know? So I truly appreciate this. iInnovate's great. And you know, should Avid be up here as well? Or are we funding Avid with LCAP money?
Yeah, it's in our goal 2 MTSS. Avid is right there at the bottom, Mr. Buckman.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I saw it, but
Because
thank you.
that's not an all student thing. So the first focus one area is what we do in the core classrooms, and Avid is considered an elective and an extra thing we do.
Again, I want to thank you. I think that this is going to be just amazing.
Well, and I'd love to take a moment to acknowledge my wonderful team in the back. Obviously, Ms. Shepard and Mr. Neff are my right and left hand to make this all happen.
Thank you to you back there. All right, Mrs. Hinton, you've had your light on and off and on and off, and I just don't want to, okay. So is it off or is it up? Are you going to leave it off for now? Okay, all right, Mrs. Roger.
Thank you. And thank you for this presentation. I have a question about, well, let's see, we were on the right slide. The slide that has iInnovate.
Right there.
I believe that we have innovation labs in all of our elementary schools.
That's accurate. Some of them have been temporarily turned into innovation carts that are moving about the school due to construction.
Okay, but they're still serving
But
students,
yes,
and they're not, it's not just Teach that has
No, correct.
an innovation lab.
All of our elementary schools have innovation labs, and to that end, both Lambs and Laguna have the equivalent of Innovate programming in their new Prop 28 digital media arts lab
that's great.
rooms. We don't call them iInnovate at the middle school. It's our digital media arts program and through our elective and CTE programming.
So iInnovate, which
But
is
it's
listed
K-8
here.
now.
It was my understanding that that was funded by the Education Foundation.
It is in part funded by the Education Foundation, and we fund part of it as well.
So is the $215,000 our general fund contribution?
Yes.
And then I would assume that the foundation is funding an equal amount, or I don't know how that works, but
Yeah, the foundation funds one of the two teachers on assignment, iInnovate TOSAs, that develop professional development to build capacity for all teachers. And they provide also for the two instructional aides that run the iInnovate labs, and the kids come through and have those entry level tasks. So it's a system we have in place. They pay for those three people
Okay.
along with some of the materials and equipment and things like that.
so we're very grateful for their partnership with us in
Yes.
this.
For sure.
And the 215,000 that's noted here is our general fund contribution, which it's as a sub portion of the general fund is included in the $6 million that we are allocating to LCAP.
That is.
Did I express that?
You did actually express that. So because we're a basic aid school district, our LCAP money is just a portion of our general fund money that we
Right.
designate as LCAP money. We don't get like additional LCAP money. That's
I
accurate.
understand that. But we spend more than just the $6 million that's allocated via the LCAP to the goals that the LCAP addresses.
Yes, that is accurate.
Okay, thank you.
We spend our $137 million on student achievement and students needing support in
But-
our schools.
But the specific groups that the LCAP addresses, we spend additional funds in support of those groups being successful learners.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Unger.
So to the point of the middle school labs, the digital media labs, I'm not sure how to tell you to find it, but the foundation did a YouTube video on unboxing some of the technology that they got here at Los Osos Middle School. So I guess if you look up on YouTube, San Luis Coastal Education Foundation, there should be a video. It hasn't had many views. I watched, I think there were like 3 views on it or something.
I'll link it in the Friday
But
Focus
yeah, it's pretty
Bulletin
cool, you
and
guys.
communications.
Yeah.
I can do that. Thank you,
Yes,
Mr.
They did a
Unger.
really nice job on it.
Okay, and,
Oh, I guess I have one more thing.
oh, Mrs. Roger.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, at the Los Osos Middle School, back to school night, Mrs. Yamashita and I happened to be, cruising around together. And we were in the digital media, classroom because no, it wasn't you and I.
I don't think so.
Who was I
Was
with?
it Mrs. Contreras?
But
No, I was with, geez, I can't remember who I was with. But in any case, I had an opportunity to hear the presentation about what the digital media. Yes, I was with Mrs. Robertson from
The
the
foundation.
foundation. And she has a child in that class. And what a fabulous class that, the presentation about it, it sounds like, I so wish I wish I had had an opportunity to experience things like that. It's really innovative. And I'm so glad we have that Prop 28 funding to support it. And I'm very sorry, Mrs. Robertson, that I didn't remember it was you and me together.
okay, Mrs. Hinton.
Can you tell me more about the role of cultural creations in Focus Area 2?
Sure thing. So one of our many equity actions is our collaboration through the San Luis Obispo County of Office Education's inclusion and belonging work. And they are running a Inclusion and Belonging 101 program called Frameworks. And they are using Cultural Creations as a consultant to facilitate those Monday after school meetings from 4 to 6. And then as a branching out of that activity from last school year. So our secondary schools that participated in that last year moved on to what we're calling Inclusion and Belonging 201 this year. and it is building and developing a site equity challenge. And so Cultural Creations, Sandra Saruf, Pedro Arroyo, and Sarah Ruggles are our facilitators for our Inclusion and Belonging 201 Site Equity Challenge group. And they had a kickoff all-day training in August, and school teams were looking at student achievement data and other qualitative and quantitative data of their student groups. Then they developed a specific site equity challenge, which I shared with you all in the board update. In fact, our middle schools have 2 site equity challenges going, one that is related to attendance of specific groups, and another one which is related to lunchtime and after-school activities and club involvement. And then we just had our first PLC meeting with Cultural Creations and those school teams to note the progress they were making and challenges they're facing in working towards those site equity goals. Does that clarify? So they're a consultant that we are working with in collaboration with the County Office of Education.
Yes, I've been on the site before, but I didn't know how that fit into our curriculum and so forth. So I still don't know what kinds of things they do. Like when I think of, yeah.
Well, so what they're doing is in the first meeting, like I said, we were looking at student achievement data and noted trends of specific subgroups that weren't performing in alignment with the other groups. And then they were making strategies and goals to change the student performance outcomes. So our middle schools, again, are looking at attendance of I think it is our ELs at LOMS, and yeah, it was ELs student groups and students with disability groups, and getting them to come to school more regularly.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. You know, the only comment,
Just,
Mr.
I'm,
Butler.
that's my sentence really quick. So I was thinking about the funding for parent stuff. And I note that DLAC sends some families or parents to CABE, and they come back really energized and great stuff. So I know that
That's also as part of the LCAP stuff.
and that's why it's so good. But I just would note that PTA also offers those kinds of opportunities at their state conference.
Thank you for highlighting that, Mr. Buckman.
Okay, the only thing I wanted to note is that on slide 8, where is listed the, let's see, is that slide 8? Okay, that's not what I was looking at. The, slide, well, I don't know where it is now. Anyways, it didn't list CTE pathways with as one of the measurements. It had, there you go. It had dual enrollment, but I just wanted to note that I'm not saying you should change anything, but that stood out to me, that CTE
Again,
pathway.
this was meant to be a summary condensed version. If you remember correctly, the LCAP is like 70 pages long.
I understand.
And so I was merely trying to communicate some of the metrics.
Yes, and I appreciate that. It was just something that I noticed. So
Yep, got it.
And I know that's
CTE,
something that's
pathway
very
completers,
important.
is one of our LCAP metrics.
Okay, so thank you for your thorough presentation.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. Thanks.
I look forward to more feedback as we move through the year together.
Okay. Right. We'll move on to 9.02 school attendance boundaries alignment.
Exciting stuff. So tonight is just a kind of a recap for the board. As the board knows, we had a couple study sessions last year to talk about demographics, possible boundaries. We brought this back to the board at a meeting in August on the 20th, where we kind of reviewed it publicly with everyone in terms of the plan to change boundaries. At that point, I told the board I would go out, meet with all the PTA groups, get their feedback, as well as put a survey, which we've done, added it to our board website, whole page with all the boundary information. And so tonight, just a quick synopsis. What I can tell you from going to those PTA meetings, And I shared that information with the board as well. Really kind of unanimous support for making the change. If anything, the parent groups wanted to talk about class sizes, combination classes, all things that really have nothing to do with the school boundary part, other than, I will say, by long term, making these schools more of an average size, right? Not having schools that are tiny, it does help not to have combination classes. So it will help some of those angst. But I did have to clarify, it's not, this doesn't really set the class sizes, right? So a lot of that's just dictated by the amount of students going through a particular grade level through a school over time. So that's really what I have for the board in terms of it. Again, very positive about it, almost unanimous support throughout. And so hopefully, if the board is okay with this, I would be bringing this back to the board at our next board meeting for hopefully board approval. Because at that point, once I get board approval, I'm going to have the website changed. So the school locator for parents, community members, we're going to have to change our open enrollment documents, get all those things set for the upcoming school year. Of course, really the reason I would say that there was kind of unanimous approval too, just so that we're all clear, is that we did say that we would grandfather in all students, right? So they're currently attending the school and their boundary changes. They can choose to stay there at their current school and have their siblings attend that school as well.
Right.
So,
An important part,
yes.
right? I'll go to is there anyone from the public wishing to comment on this? Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Then we will see this at our next meeting as an action item. Okay, yeah, thanks for your work on that. Thanks for, oh, I'm sorry.
It was really good to
Sorry.
go around to the PTAs
Just gonna say.
and speak to them.
Well, I just wonder if the board has no questions, is there any advantage in approving this?
Yeah, I don't think
earlier
we should put it as a
than that.
discussion item
it's not on
tonight,
the
so we probably
agenda.
should wait until the next meeting.
Yeah. On the agenda tonight, it's just
I
discussion.
didn't put it as action.
It's discussion.
Yeah, no, it's just discussion.
I see what Marilyn's saying.
Why is it?
Discussion.
Ah,
Yeah.
thank you.
And that was the protocol we had set out early on, so I didn't want to veer from what we had said we would do.
Mr. Buckman.
I think you just said it, but I just, the amount of outreach that we're doing, maybe it was always there, but it just feels better. And I just want to thank you. I don't know where you guys ever get to go home, but you must spend every night out, but thank you.
We had good attendance at all the PTA meetings too, so it was great.
Good.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm glad we were able to get that feedback. Right. Now, don't go anywhere.
I'm not going anywhere. I got the next three.
9.03 approval of
Yes.
construction delivery method. Now we have
So-
a few action items here.
Yeah, so for the public to know, we have, as the board knows, we discuss these a lot at the study session, each one of these items. So if it seems like I'm going fast through them, it's because we've kind of had this conversation. Mr. Banfield, I'll kind of bring you up to speed though, as we go through them and kind of talk about each one. But so the first one is approval of construction delivery methods. So we really had two construction delivery methods that we had looked at with our phase one projects, which was design, bid, build, which is your normal low bid, lowest bid wins type of thing. And then we also have been doing some leaseback contracts, which are actually awards that are based on low bid price, but also qualifications. So there's an aspect of it, right, that ties into it. And I had wanted to, from the get-go, hey, let's see how the low bids come in versus the leaseback profits, those types of things. The way the new leaseback is set up is very low bid oriented anyways. So what we saw with our first 4 or 5 leaseback agreements was a lot of competition, basically a low bid, but because the qualification portion of that, we ensure that we receive, we get contractors that we feel good about working with, right? Not that low bid has to be that way, that you're not going to get a good contractor, because I'm asking you, the board, to approve one on the next agenda item. But I think moving forward, I think it's in the board's best interest and the district's best interest that we go ahead and move forward with the Los Ranchos Elementary School, Pacific Beach High School, as well as our phase 2 projects. using that lease-leaseback construction delivery method, because not only is it proving to have the competition built in, the low bid that we want, but it also has that qualification component that I think is going to be really important as we move forward. And so that's what I'm asking the board tonight, is for us to basically make that move to Los Ranchos and Pacific Beach to use lease-leaseback agreements, as well as the phase 2 projects. The reason why I'm asking you to approve that now is because as we proceed and we start to, I'm going to be bringing the phase 2 projects to the board. And of course, through lease-leaseback, we bring those contractors in early. So they're there from the very beginning, schematic design phases, architecture, so that they can be part of that process prior to, prior to actually starting construction and getting a GMP to the board. So tonight, I'm asking the board to approve moving those projects to a lease-leaseback construction delivery method.
Right, first I'll go to the public. Anyone? No one. Okay, all right, Mr. Buckman.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to make the move to lease-leaseback.
Right, and I just want to comment that I'm really glad that we'll be able to experience the combination of quality and low bid to put those together. That's really important. Right, we have a motion by, Mr. Banfield.
No.
Oh, we have a motion by Mr. Buckman and a second by Mrs. Hinton. Mr. Buckman. Mrs. Hinton.
Yes.
Mrs. Roger.
Yes.
Mr. Unger.
Yes.
Mr. Banfield.
Yes.
I'm a yes, so that motion carries 6-0 with one absence. Right. 9.04.
So the next item is award a bid for Sinchheimer Elementary School. So this is to renovate their TK kindergarten classrooms, as well as a new staff room where the current childcare is room. We're going to move the childcare over to kind of where the current teacher staff room area is now on campus. So those bids came back and we had 3 bids actually. One, unfortunately, was a non-responsive bid. Some of their subcontractors did not meet their requirements to be able to move forward. So we are asking the board to move forward tonight with Newton Construction as the basically the bid met the requirements. And you could see from this document that they were, approximately $500,000 lower than the next bid, which was Acme Construction Company.
Any questions or comments from the public? Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Banfield.
I was just going to make a motion.
All right, you just keeping that light on?
Move that we go with the Newton Construction people.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Banfield and a second by Mrs. Roger. Mr. Banfield.
Yes.
Mrs. Roger.
Yeah.
Mr. Buckman.
Yes.
Mrs. Hinton.
Yes.
Mr. Unger.
Sure. I was just laughing because I'm hoping this isn't like the Isaac Newton Construction Company from the 1500s or something like that. Yes.
And I'm a yes, so that carries 6-0 with
Miss-
an absence.
Mr.
Oh,
President, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Because it just dawns on me. I'm sorry. So, and this is, I don't know why I haven't asked this sooner. So when we do all these bids, right, sometimes they're like hundreds of thousands of dollars difference. And I was thinking like materials cost the same that they're bidding on. I just don't understand how can they be hundreds of thousands of dollar difference when
Profit margin and general.
Okay,
conditions, but you don't.
I didn't want to say.
That's the hard part that's what's nice about a lease-leaseback is
Yeah.
we get to see the 3 bids for every single sub.
Okay.
So they have to share that with us. We go through them.
Oh,
We
all the
talk
stuff.
about all
Okay.
these leaseback. In a low bid situation, it's low bid. So
All
we
right.
don't see that. We don't see who the subs were, how much they put here or there, those types of things. Now, we will be asking for schedule, general conditions cost, right? Those types of things as we go through it, but it's a.
Okay, and next is 9.05.
the
Another-
conversation everyone loves to have, right? Fields. So as we talked about at the study session, we had our grounds people go out individually all by themselves and rank schools first to worst, right? So they got that list, they brought it all together, and they basically, after compiling that, the two worst fields in San Luis Coastal Unified School District were C.L. Smith and Sinchheimer Elementary Schools. And so we initially had an architect come in, kind of looking at, and by the way, Los Osos Middle School and Laguna Middle School are next up. They are 3 and 4. Los Osos in particular, it needs a lot of work. It's a field that, as you can, it's right next to open space. It's very difficult for squirrels, ground squirrels, those types of things, right? Sandy soil, those types of things. That said, kudos to Chris Bond and the grounds crew. They've tried to do a lot over the past month. We'll continue to work on those schools, even while this is still going on and we're waiting for that next phase to start. We will try to renovate those and keep them up. So again, these two schools, the plan is to basically break the school fields into two spots at both schools. We'll go in and do half the school at Sinchheimer. So basically take it all the way down, new irrigation, all those things, new new pumps, new gopher repellent that's mixed into the irrigation. When that's done, we'll sod it and we'll move on to C.L. Smith and do half of their field. So the kids still get half of the field to play, right, on both sides. So after we're done there, when that's done, then we'll come back to Sinchheimer. We'll let the kids use the other side of the field that was renovated, and we'll do the other half. So it'll be kind of a 4-phase project all the way through. This will take 3 to 4 months per phase, right? Because once you put the sod in, you have to let it, sit for at least 3 months, right, before you're going to get on it. So yeah, sod definitely, in terms of just because otherwise it's another few months to go through. And long-term, what we found, I would say, from looking at like slow high projects to using sod, it's just long-term, it's going to last way longer if we do it. Yeah.
Come back to me.
Okay, anyone from the public? No, and no. All right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So there were 3 bids for this project. The low was 1.66 million. So these are, just so the public
big
knows,
difference.
field renovations is a large expense to go through. But we're talking ground out new irrigation, like I said, entirely new systems. These new systems will be shut off half at a time. So future renovations, we'll be able to do this much more manageable, much easier than we have in the past. So I don't know that all of our fields are going to require this type of work, but definitely these first 3 or 4 that we're going to go through are going to need this type of renovation.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No worries.
Any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Buckman?
Sorry. Thank you. We have a lot of youth sports using our fields. Every day maxed out fields. So do we have a way that we're going to communicate with them? Are they in our plans?
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Okay. And then I don't know where they're going to go. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. At some point we have to,
Gotta get it done.
there's no perfect time to shut down fields or use them, right? There's sports throughout the year now. So that said, they're also the groups that complain the most about the fields. So it's kind of one of those, like, at some point we have to, you have to do this, right, in order to be able to allow them to use them and make them nicer.
Okay. We're ready to have a motion and a second on this, on 9.05.
I have a question before.
Oh, Mr. Banfield, I'm sorry.
I'm just curious, so these are the first 2 fields,
Uh-huh.
and Wysong is taking the bid.
A little bit.
Uh-huh. What about, well, you haven't opened the bid yet for
Not
Deer
lumps and
and
lambs yet,
lambs.
no. We're going to see how these go and how this unfolds. And that will hopefully guide us in terms of the next 2 projects. And again, loams and lambs are huge compared to these 2 fields. Though they are big. Those are different spaces completely.
And I just want to say it was really nice. Chris Bonin reached out to me, had a parent that was concerned about loams, and
He's right back
Chris,
there.
Real nice, Chris. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone wish to make a motion?
I'll move to accept the little bit of Wysong construction.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Banfield, a second by Mrs. Hinton. Mr. Banfield,
Yes.
Mrs. Hinton,
Yes.
Mr. Unger,
Yes.
Mrs. Roger,
Yes.
Mr. Buckman.
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Thank you.
6-0. All right. We're going to go through the action consent agenda. Please let me know if you'd like anything pulled. 10.01, approval of certificated and classified personnel items. 10.02, acceptance of donations. 10.03, approval of field study trip requests for San Luis Obispo High School and Morro Bay High School. 10.04, approval of furniture and equipment request. 10.05, approval of minutes of October 1, 2024. 10.06, approval of minutes of October 10, 2024. 10.07, approve quarterly report on uniform complaint filings, the Williams settlement.
Move approval of items 10.01 through 10.07.
I'll second. I have a motion by Mr. Unger, a second by me to accept the action consent agenda. Mr. Unger.
Yes.
Mr. Banfield.
Yes.
Mr. Buckman. Mrs. Hinton.
Yes.
Mrs. Roger. Yes. And I'm a yes. Right, we will move on to any requests for advanced agenda.
Yes, please.
We have I did advance agenda. Yep, Mr. Unger.
I have for a while wondered about our protocols for interviewing students on confidential information. I'm not sure quite else how to put it. I'm thinking as a parent, if my child were being interviewed by someone for something that could be quite serious, I would want to know about that. And I'm wondering what our protocols are for handling these types of interviews. And I'm happy to see that in a Friday note, something like that. But I would like to know how we do those things and what our processes and procedures are. If you could, I don't know how the rest of the board feels about that, but I am very curious about that.
I am too.
And you'd be set, and Friday focus is okay.
Yeah, that would be fine. I'm just curious about it.
I see a lot of lights on. Mr. Banfield. Okay, Mrs. Hinton.
Same vein is something I thought earlier for advanced agenda that I wanted to see if we could continue the parent education series that we started, and it was held in J2, and move it out to the schools and how that was coming along. And in there's education to parents about state laws and how they affect the student confidentiality issues that you're bringing up right now. So I was wondering, can we combine that in there too with looking into new ways to familiarize parents with laws and other things that we did in the 4-part series that impact families so that they will know what to expect along those lines. It's very general. It wouldn't be a specific case. But like some of the other things were human trafficking and how that affects our student population.
So is that an update you'd be
on
satisfied
the
with in
parent
Friday
education.
focus? Just the update on where we are
I'd
with
like to
that?
see if we could have, see how many people are, or what you think about the usefulness of taking it out to the schools, like we talked about, that would be more effective than having it in J2, which parents usually are not familiar with.
So my question though is that something you would,
I think
if we
I'd
have
rather
an update in Friday focus, or do you want it as a full on agenda?
A
item?
full.
Okay,
on-
so that would require support of someone else.
I would like to see it started as a Friday focus and then decide from there whether we want to add it, whether I would support adding it as an agenda item.
Oh, yeah, because then you could see something written down, black and white.
Yes.
Mhm. That's acceptable, so it could be Friday.
So Friday focus, and then it would come back if you want it as an agenda item. It sounds like. Okay,
Okay.
right, so Dr. Prater.
So what I'm hearing is that in a Friday focus, maybe I could get this done this week. That's maybe next week, depending with the benefit coming on Thursday night and all that we have going on. I'll do my best, but what I'm hearing is that you would like to hear a little bit about our protocols regarding student interviews and parent communication, how that might work. There's a lot of misinformation out there, I can tell you that, about what did or did not happen or who said what to whom. And so I will gladly put that together with my team. And then the second piece is to provide the board with some information about our parent education series being moved to the sites. And what I can tell you is we're starting with the achievement sessions, hopefully November, December. And then in the winter, meaning January to June, we could certainly integrate some of the things, some of those other topics that you're referring to. But I will update the board in Friday focus on what that might look like. It's still in its development phase because we're working with Parsec right now to put together the framework for those achievement sessions coming from the principals at the sites. That will naturally lead into other things.
Okay, thank you.
But I just want to reiterate that in the parent education series, the part that goes with the confidentiality issue that I heard Mr. Unger bring up is the how we deal with state laws, how parents mostly aren't following that, and there's a lot of state laws coming out about student confidentiality issues.
For sure.
Okay,
Thank you.
Mr. Buckley.
And I would mention, I've started reviewing all the code that's changed, all the new legislation. I think that there, if I'm remembering correctly, there's new legislation on the meetings with parents and what has to be done with kids and parents. So before you, I don't know if one of our attorneys can tell you, but before we get too far into it, we want to make sure that we're still doing.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we're working closely with our attorneys on these things. Yeah.
Okay.
And so everyone's clear, and I know the board knows this, just in the last year, the number of mandates, legal mandates for our employees has become so extraordinary that we're having a hard time finding the time to work through those trainings, even though we've done them. But it's quickly becoming a cost item as well, because we should pay our people to do these things. Title IX training, workforce violence prevention training, all the other mandates, safe schools policies, all these things that we do. But I hear you loud and clear, and I'll work with our team on a framework that I can share in Friday update.
Thank you. Right, we'll go on to reports by board members. Mr. Unger.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to go to the Bishop Peak Jogathon a couple of Fridays ago. It was really exciting and really fun to see that. And I want to thank Kevin Hill and Kim King, both sixth grade teachers at Bishop Peak, for letting me into their classrooms. And in Ms. King's class, I was able to explain to them a little bit about what school board members do. And then I did last Saturday, and I think I talked to a couple of people about it, attended the memorial service for longtime educational advocate, educational student advocate, George Galvin. George was, I believe, 93 years old when he passed. He and his wife were one of the founders of the Grizzly Academy, really encouraged the county to avail themselves of that opportunity. George was a member of the Atascadero School Board, as well as the Grizzly Charter Board, and he was a longtime member of the San Luis Obispo County Office of Education, Board of Education. George was a tireless advocate for kids. He was absolutely, he was a Marine, and he was a bulldog for getting volunteers. They had us raise our hands if we had been contacted by him to volunteer for various things in the community. And I would say of the 50 or 60 people that were there, every one of them raised their hands. So bless you, George, wherever you are. We miss you, and we'll continue your good work.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Banfield.
Well, I wanted to share something that I got from Mr. Wimmer, Richie Wimmer, who is the auto shop teacher over Morro Bay. He wrote this note to me, and I really wanted everybody to hear this. It's really one of these feel-good things. Hi, Rob. Some student experiences in high school will never be forgotten and are just worth sharing. 12 students traveled to Buttonwillow Raceway for a picnic lunch today. We toured the facility, met the drivers, climbed in around race cars, and simply got excited hearing loud engines go vroom. We arrived and were given the red carpet treatment. The track staff were excited to greet us. The Porsche Owners Club were practicing for their race weekend and invited us into their pits with open arms. The drivers were loving and opened their hearts, sharing with the students their toys, passions, life experiences, and guidance. We met pro teams and business owners. The students were so good that they got invited into the tower after lunch. It was epic. I'm thoroughly impressed by your staff. That's us. And how eager they are to support kids. From the admins, the CTE, the teachers, facilities, athletics, to the district office. I'm so proud to be a part of your team. Thank you for supporting the arts. Art is everywhere. In the transportation field, we call it racecraft. Anyway, Richie Wimmer.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Buckman.
Yeah, after the letter and the George Galvan, I'm not sure. I got to attend the Diversity Coalition fundraiser this week. It was a lot of local and state elected officials, representatives from the federal government, community leaders. There were teachers there. I have to tell you, this organization is incredible on a daily basis, working to create equity in our community. Let's see. I attended the DLAC meeting that's been mentioned. These are just a group of incredibly active parents. I mean, it's scary. I love going to those. I'm CSBA regional representative, so there was a region meeting. And as I mentioned, I've started my work reading new legislation. There's just over 1,200 new pieces of legislation. So I've just started reading all of it. So I'll be sleeping during most of the next few board meetings.
And I'm just going to quickly state that I attended the Hawthorne Elementary School Boardwalk and had a lovely visit with Principal Tricamo. Learned a lot about Hawthorne, what's going on there new, and they're not being too impacted by construction yet, which is a good thing for the students. And then last week, I also, after the boardwalk, went over to Pacific Beach High School and hung out with a bunch of kids who donated plasma while they donated blood or whatever else was going on, and hung out at the school a little bit. So that was my Thursday. It was Thursday of last week. Lots of school things. So thank you, one and all. We are adjourned.